it's Shawnee. Welcome back. Today I'm going to talk to you about the palette that I am focusing on for the year. Now, it is a palette of singles, all Sydney Grace singles, and it is all matte. So here is the palette. I have it in this empty magnetic, or it's no longer empty, this magnetic palette from TKB Trading. It does fit the general, like regular 26mm pans for the eyeshadows. As I mentioned before, these are all Sydney Grace and they all fit perfectly within here. Most of these are singles from the brand, but I think about 3 shades or so are from palettes that I depotted, and that just means I took the pans out of the palette and am now storing them as singles. Now, the reason I put this together is that when I am using eyeshadow, if I want a matte shadow and I want to grab something really quickly, there are quite a few Sydney Grace shades that I just gravitate to. And so I figured, why not just put a lot of those shades in a palette and keep this palette out so that when I am doing my eye makeup, if there's something that I need, I already have it here all together rather than having to go through and find it. There are other matte shades that I use from other brands, but I just thought this would be really cool to focus on for the year. I'm just going to pair it with different eyeshadow palettes and singles and see how much use I get out of it. Now, someone did ask me to talk about the shades that I put in here, so I decided that I'm going to do that. I'm going to give you the name of the shade, do a quick swatch, and I'll give you whatever description Sydney Grace has on their website for the shade. So why don't we go ahead and get started. This first shade here is called Tangerine, and it is described as a deep orange matte with a yellow undertone. This next shade here, this is Caramel, and it is described as a warm matte brown with an orange undertone. Shade number 3 right here is Mom Ride, and this is described as a medium neutral matte brown. Shade number 4 here is Lolly, and this is actually from the Sweet Indulgence palette. It's just one that I decided to depot and use as a single. I didn't find a description for this one, but to me it's kind of like a neutral pink matte. The shade next to it is called Trust, and it is a medium pink with a red undertone. And then the last shade here is Solomon, and it is a deep red brown matte. So that is this very first row. Here are the swatches. Now, starting with the bottom row, this shade here is called Be Bold, and it is from the Chase Your Dreams palette. I couldn't find a description of it, but this to me is like a neutrally, like, what is it, like a reddish brown almost? Almost like a clay kind of color, like that red clay. The shade next to it is Harvest, and it is described as a deep orange. Shade number 3 here is Requiem, and I was unable to find a description of this one, but this is kind of like a neutral tan. And the one next to that is called Sweet Cakes, and this is from the Sweet Indulgence palette. So here we have another sort of neutral grayish brown, I would say. The shade next to it is actually one of my favorites. It's one of the singles from Sydney Grace. It's called Keep Smiling, and it is described just as a warm dark brown. To me, it has like a bit of a reddish undertone. And then the last shade here is called Midnight, and this is just a deep black matte. So here are the shades from the bottom row. So let me get them all on one hand so you can see them all together, and then we'll wrap things up. So here is the palette, and here are all of the shades. There are 12 in total. Basically just a lot of neutrals and a lot of colors that I kind of use almost daily. So it's just nice to have a bunch of mattes in one place, and I can just pull from them pretty easily. I did use a couple of these for the eye look that I have today. Obviously the shimmer is not from this palette because it is all matte, but it was really easy to just go in and use a couple of shades to mix together and deepen out the outer V on the eye look today. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you want to see more things like this, because I often do kind of build my own palettes just for the fun of it. And this is gonna be one that I try to focus on for as long as I'm interested. But so far I've used it like every day this week, so going so well so far. And I think that's it. Hopefully some of this was helpful. I also hope that you are continuing to take care of yourself. Let me know how you're doing that, ma'am, sir, non-binary person. And please be sure to like the video and also subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.